Hey guys, in this month's Historical Fiction 101, I'm going to be sharing with you some upcoming releases within the historical fiction genre from January to June of 2022. So let's get going with this video, you guys. I have 20 books that I found of particular interest to myself. I definitely recommend browsing through Goodreads, especially under the Listopia category, because there is a category for historical fiction for 2022. I definitely recommend checking out that list. To look at the various different variety of historical fiction coming out, because yeah, as I just said, this is just kind of my particular favorites, things that kind of just sparked my personal interest. Anything from just the time period, era, the cover may have sparked my interest. So yeah, I definitely recommend doing your own research, because there is, as usual with historical fiction, just tons and tons and tons of books coming out every single year within the genre, and I love it. And as I usually do, I am going to be looking at my computer, reading off the synopsises off of Goodreads. So if you want to learn any more about some of these particular books, I definitely recommend heading over to Goodreads and adding them to your to-buy lists, if that's your sort of thing. First up, The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. In the snowbound city of Kiev, wry and bookish history student Mila organizes her life around her library job and her young son. But Hitler's invasion of Russia sends her on a different path. Given a rifle and sent to join the fight, Mila must forge herself from studious girl to deadly sniper, a lethal hunter of Nazis known as Lady Death. Yes, badass. When news of her 300th kill, good God, makes her a national heroine, Mila finds herself torn from the bloody battlefields of the Eastern Front and sent to America on a goodwill tour. Still reeling from war wounds and devastated by loss, Mila finds herself isolated and lonely in the glittering world of Washington, D.C., until an unexpected friendship with First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt and an even more unexpected connection with a silent fellow sniper offer the possibility of happiness. But when an old enemy from Mila's past joins forces with a deadly new foe lurking in the shadows, Lady Death finds herself battling her own demons and enemy bullets in the deadliest duel of her life. This sounds great, you guys. I'm all for this book. The Hacienda, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong, you guys. The Hacienda by Isabel Canas. Lord. In the overthrow of the Mexican government, Beatrice's father is executed and her home destroyed. When handsome Don Rodolfo proposes, Beatrice ignores the rumors surrounding his first wife's sudden demise, choosing instead to seize the security his estate in the countryside provides. She will have her own home again, no matter the cost. But Hacienda San Isidro I am not good with Spanish, you guys, is not the sanctuary she imagined. When Rodolfo returns to work in the capital, visions and voices invade Beatrice's sleep. The weight of invisible eyes follows her every move. Rodolfo's sister, Juana, scoffs at Beatrice's fears, but why does she refuse to enter the house at night? Why does the cook burn copal incense at the edge of the kitchen and mark its doorway with strange symbols? What really happened to the first wife of her husband? Beatrice only knows two things for certain. Something is wrong with the hacienda, and no one there will help her. Desperate for help, she clings to the young priest. Of course, there's a hot young priest, you guys. Padre Andres as an ally. No ordinary priest. Andre will have to rely on his skills as a witch to battle the malevolent presence haunting the hacienda. Oh, hell yes, you guys. This sounds great. And it even says it's like Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca. I'm all in. I definitely gotta add this to my need to buy list, you guys. A School for German Brides by Amy K. Runyon. Germany, 1939. As the war begins, Hannah, a young German woman, is sent to live with her aunt and uncle after her mother's death. Thrown into a life of luxury she never expected, Hannah soon finds herself unwillingly matched with an SS officer. Oh no. The independence that her mother lovingly fostered in her is considered highly inappropriate as the future wife of an up-and-coming officer, and she is sent to a bride school. There, in a posh villa on the outskirts of town, Hannah is taught how to be a proper German wife. The lessons of hatred, prejudice, and misogyny disturb her, and she finds herself desperate to escape. For Rachel, a German Jewish woman, the war has brought more devastation than she ever thought possible. Torn from her work, her family, and her new husband, she fights to keep her unborn baby safe. But when the unthinkable happens, Rachel realizes she must hide. The risk of discovery grows greater with each passing day, but she has no other options. When Hannah discovers that Rachel is hiding near the school, she knows she must help her however she can. For Rachel, fear wars with desperation. The women must take extraordinary risks to save the lives of mother and baby. Will they both be able to escape with their lives? If they do, what kind of future can they possibly hope for? Beautiful Little Fools by Gillian Cantor. On a sultry August day in 1922, Jay Gatsby is shot dead in his West Egg swimming pool. Oh wow, that just spoiled Great Gatsby right there, you guys. If you're not around Great Gatsby, too bad, I guess. To the police, it appears to be an open and shut case of murder-suicide when the body of George Wilson, a local mechanic, is found in the woods nearby. Then a diamond hairpin is discovered in the bushes by the pool, and 3 women fall under suspicion. Each holds a key that can unlock the truth to the mysterious life and death of this enigmatic millionaire. And then, yeah, those 3 women being Daisy Buchanan, Jordan Baker, Catherine McCoy. Their stories unfold in the years leading up to that fateful summer of 1922, when all 3 of their lives are on the brink of unraveling. Each woman is pulled deeper into Jay Gatsby's romantic obsession, with devastating consequences for all of them. Ooh, this sounds cool. I don't think I've ever read a Great Gatsby retelling before, so this should be pretty exciting. Elektra by Jennifer Saints. The house of Atreus is cursed, a bloodline tainted by a generational cycle of violence and vengeance. This is the story of 3 women, their fates tied to this curse, and the fickle nature of men and gods. So yeah, those 3 women, I'll just go through the plot summary here. We have Clytemnestra, the sister of Helen, wife of Agamemnon. Her hopes of averting the curse are dashed when her sister is taken to Troy by the feckless Paris. Her husband raises a great army against them and determines to win whatever the cost. Cassandra, princess of Troy, and cursed by Apollo to see the future, but never to be believed when she speaks of it. She is powerless in her knowledge that the city will fall. And then the last, Elektra, the title of the book. Elektra, the beautiful daughter of Clytemnestra and Agamemnon. Elektra is horrified by the bloodletting of her kin, but can she escape the curse, or is her own destiny also bound by violence? I am definitely going to get my hands on this. The Last Grand Duchess by Bryn Turnbull. This is a book that I'm super excited, you guys. We have Grand Duchess Olga Romanov comes of age amid a shifting tide for the great dynasties of Europe. But even as unrest simmers in the capital, Olga is content to live within the confines of the sheltered life her parents had built for her and her 3 sisters. Hiding from the world on account of their mother's ill health, their brother Alexei's secret affliction, and rising controversy over Father Grigory Rasputin, the priest on whom the Tsarina has come to rely. Olga's only escape from the seclusion of Alexander Palace comes from her aunt, who takes pity on her and her sister Tatiana, inviting them to grand tea parties amid the shadow court of St. Petersburg. Finally, she glimpses a world beyond her mother's Victorian sensibilities, a world of opulent ballrooms, scandalous flirtation, and whispered conversation. But as war approaches, the palaces of Russia are transformed. Olga and her sisters trade their gowns for nursing habits, assisting in surgeries and tending to the wounded bodies and minds of Russia's military officers. As troubling rumors about her parents trickle in from the front, Olga dares to hope that a budding romance might survive whatever the future may hold. But when tensions run high and supplies run low, the controversy over Rasputin grows into fiery protest, and calls for revolution threaten to end 300 years of Romanov rule. You guys, I'm all sorts of excited about this book. You can't believe the hype I have right now. Next up, The Thearinas Daughter by Ellen Epstein. Born into the house of Romanov to the all-powerful Peter the Great and his wife Catherine, a former serf, beautiful Tsarina Elizabeth is the envy of the Russian Empire. She is insulated by luxury and spoiled by her father, who dreams for her to marry King Louis XV of France and rule in Versailles. But when a woodland creature gives her a prophecy, her life is turned upside down. Her volatile father suddenly dies, her only brother has been executed, and her mother takes the throne of Russia. As friends turn to foes in the dangerous atmosphere of the court, the princess must fear for her freedom and her life. Fate deals her blow after blow, and even loving her becomes a crime that warrants cruel torture and capital punishment. Elizabeth matures from suffering victim to strong and savvy survivor, but only her true love and their burning passion finally help her become who she is. When the imperial crown is left to an infant Tsarevich, Elizabeth finds herself in mortal danger and must confront a terrible dilemma: seize the reins of power and harm an innocent child, or find herself following in the footsteps of her murdered brother. Yes, you guys, this sounds great. Pandora by Susan Stokes Chapman. London, 1799. Dora Blake is an aspiring jewelry artist who lives with her uncle in what used to be her parents' famed shop of antiquities. When a mysterious Greek vase is delivered, Dora is intrigued by her uncle's suspicious behavior and enlists the help of Edward Lawrence, a young antiquarian. It's something about antiques, you guys. I'm having trouble pronouncing. He's a young scholar. Edward sees the ancient vase as key to unlocking his academic future. Dora sees it as a chance to restore the shop to its former glory and to escape her nefarious uncle. But what Edward discovers about the vase has Dora questioning everything she has believed about her life, her family, and the world as she knows it. As Dora uncovers the truth, she starts to realize that some mysteries are buried and some doors are locked for a reason. Ooh, so has something to do with Pandora's box? Possibly? Her Hidden Genius by Marie Benedict. Rosalind Franklin has always been an outsider, brilliant but different. Whether working at the laboratory she adored in Paris or toiling at a university in London, she feels closest to the science, those unchanging laws of physics and chemistry that guide her experiments. When she is assigned to work on DNA, she believes she can unearth its secrets. Rosalind knows if she just takes one more X-ray picture, one more after thousands, she can unlock the building blocks of life. Never again will she have to listen to her colleagues complain about her, especially Maurice Wilkins, who'd rather conspire about genetics with James Watson and Francis Crick than work alongside her. Then it finally happens. The double helix structure of DNA reveals itself to her with perfect clarity, but what unfolds next, Rosalind could have never predicted. Oh, that sounds cool. The Good Wife of Bath by Karen Brooks. England, 1364. When married off at age 12 to an elderly farmer, brazen redheaded Eleanor quickly realizes it won't matter what she says or does. God is not on her side, or any poor woman's for that matter. But then again, Eleanor was born under the joint signs of Venus and Mars, making her both a lover and a fighter. Aided by a head for business and a surprisingly kind husband, Eleanor manages to turn her first marriage into success, and she rises through society from a cast-off farm girl to a woman of fortune, who becomes a trusted friend of the social climbing poet Geoffrey Chaucer. But more marriages follow, some happy, some not. Several pilgrimages, many lovers, murder, mayhem, and many turns of fortune's wheel as Eleanor pursues the one thing that all women want: control of their own lives. And yeah, this is supposed to be like something that is like the inspiration for Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales, like one of the little stories in there. And yeah, that sounds really cool. The School of Mirrors by Ava Stashniak. I'm not going to try that one, you guys. Against the tumult of 18th century France, King Louis XV has tired of courtly intrigues and becomes a connoisseur of innocence. On the grounds of the Palace of Versailles lies Deer Park, a hunting ground that also offers another pleasure, a mansion where his young mistresses are housed. But when these girls first arrive at Deer Park, it is under the guise of a different role. They are promised employment in the household of a count, and eager to improve their stations, they leave their families to serve him. Veronica is one such girl. She is introduced to the Count, and young and naive as she is, she never doubts his identity. And as he begins to bestow affection on her, she quickly becomes consumed with love for him. It is too late when she realizes who he really is, the stakes of their affair, and what she will have to give up to survive. Antoinette's Sister by Diana Giovinazzo. These names, you guys, I'm trying. Taking place in Austria, 1767, Maria Carolina Charlotte, 9th daughter and 16th child of Empress Maria Theresa of Austria, knows her position as a Habsburg Archduchess will inevitably force her to leave her home, her family, and her beloved country. But not yet. The Habsburg family is celebrating a great triumph. Charlotte's older sister, Josepha, has been promised to King Ferdinand IV of Naples, and will soon take her place as queen. Before Josepha can journey to her new home, however, tragedy strikes. After visiting the family crypt, Josepha contracts smallpox and dies. Shocked, Charlotte is forced to face an unthinkable new reality. She must now marry Ferdinand in her sister's stead. Bereft and alone, Charlotte finds that her new life in Naples is more complicated than she could ever have imagined. Ferdinand is weak and feckless, and a disastrous wedding night plunges her into despair. Her husband's regent is a controlling and power-hungry man who has pushed the country to the brink of ruin. Overwhelmed, she asks her brother Leopold, now the Holy Roman Emperor, to send help, which he does in the form of John Acton, a handsome military man, 20 years Charlotte's senior, who is tasked to take over the navy. Now Charlotte must gather the strength to do what her mother did before her, take control of the country. In a time of political uprisings, royal executions, and the increasingly desperate crisis her favorite sister, Queen Marie Antoinette, is facing in France, how is a young monarch to keep hold of everything and everyone she loves? Ooh, sounds good. And you guys, I actually just won this book through a Goodreads giveaway, so that's even more exciting. I can't wait to get to that. Martha by Susan Holloway Scott. Right at the top it says, hey, you like Hamilton? You might like this. When 18-year-old Martha marries Daniel Park Custis, all agree she has done remarkably well to fall in love with and land one of the wealthiest men in the Virginia colony. Their union is a happy one until, after 7 years and 4 children, Daniel dies suddenly. Resilient and beautiful, Martha is soon courted by other men and becomes engaged to a military hero, Colonel George Washington. The newlyweds' mutual affection and attraction is obvious to all. At 26, George is handsome, athletic, and over a foot taller than petite Martha. She and her 2 surviving children move to Mount Vernon, where Martha's fortune enables George to improve his estate and establish himself as a political power. Where once Martha envisioned a sedate life as a planter's wife, now a very different future beckons. During the unsettled years that foreshadow revolution, Martha proves herself George's anchor, advisor, and most trusted confidant. As war ravages the country, she risks her safety to winter with the army, stand by his side during harrowing betrayals and personal tragedies. And when at last the war is done, it will take all of Martha's courage and devotion to take her place in history as the First Lady of the land. Sounds awesome. Okay, here's the book, you guys. I apologize in advance. I am definitely going to butcher this. If I do purchase this book in the future, I will definitely take the time to look up a pronunciation guide, you guys. I guarantee that. This is Kaiki by Vaishnavi Patel. Oh Lord, I'm sorry, you guys. So begins Kaikei's story, the only daughter of the kingdom of Kiya. She is raised on tales about the might and benevolence of the gods, how they churn the vast ocean to obtain the nectar of immortality, how they vanquish evil and ensure the land of Bharat prospers, and how they offer powerful boons to the devout and the wise. Yet she watches as her father unceremoniously banishes her mother, listens as her own worth is reduced to how great a marriage alliance she can secure, and when she calls upon the gods for help, they never seem to hear. Desperate for some measure of independence, she turns to the texts she once read with her mother and discovers a magic that is hers alone. With this power, Kaikei transforms herself from an overlooked princess into a warrior, diplomat, and the most favored queen, determined to carve a better world for herself and the women around her. But as the evil from her childhood stories threatens the cosmic order, the path she has forged clashes with the destiny the gods have chosen for her family, and she must decide if resistance is worth the destruction it will wreak, and what legacy she intends to leave behind. Oh, that sounds great. Because it sounds like this is based off of Indian mythology, if you will. That sounds really awesome. I've never kind of read a book like that. I've read a lot of books that are either Norse retellings or Greek retellings. So yeah, a retelling from the country of India. That sounds really great. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. I think I definitely want to make sure I get my hands on this one. The Wedding Veil by Christy Woodson Harvey. This sounds like it has both like a modern day and a historical fiction setting, and I'm just going to skip right down here to the historical fiction setting and kind of leave it at that. 1914, socialite Edith Vanderbilt is struggling to manage the luxurious Biltmore estate after the untimely death of her cherished husband. With 250 rooms to oversee and an entire village dependent on her family to stay afloat, Edith is determined to uphold the Vanderbilt legacy and prepare her free-spirited daughter Cornelia to inherit it, in spite of her family's deteriorating financial situation. But Cornelia has dreams of her own. Asheville, North Carolina has always been her safe haven away from the prying eyes of the press, but as she explores more of the rapidly changing world around her, she's torn between upholding tradition and pursuing the exciting future that lies beyond Biltmore's gilded gates. And you guys, I do live in North Carolina. The Biltmore estate is quite a ride from where I live. It would take quite a number of hours for me to go visit it. I have always wanted to go to the Biltmore estate, you guys. It's a shame that I live here in North Carolina. I've never been. I've always wanted to go. I need to make the time to go visit it one day because I think I would love it, because I love like Downton Abbey. I think I would just be all sorts of nerdy. Anatomy, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz. Taking place in Edinburgh, 1817. Hazel is a lady who wants to be a surgeon more than she wants to marry. Jack is a resurrection man who's just trying to survive in a city where it's too easy to die. When the two of them have a chance encounter outside the Edinburgh Anatomist Society, Hazel thinks nothing of it at first, but after she gets kicked out of renowned surgeon Dr. Beecham's lectures for being the wrong gender, she realizes that her new acquaintance might be more helpful than she first thought. Because Hazel has made a deal with Dr. Beecham. If she can pass the medical examination on her own, the university will allow her to enroll. Without official lessons, though, Hazel will need more than just her books. She'll need bodies to study, corpses to dissect. Lucky that she's made the acquaintance of someone who digs them up for a living then. But Jack has his own problems. Strange men have been seen skulking around cemeteries. His friends are disappearing off the streets. Hazel and Jack work together to uncover the secrets buried not just in unmarked graves, but in the very heart of Edinburgh society. Ooh. A Brilliant Night of Stars and Ice by Rebecca Connolly. And I need to get done with this video fast. My light is very quickly going away, you guys. I have a few more books to get through here. Hopefully the light sticks with me a little bit longer. Okay. Just after midnight on April 15th, 1912, the passenger steamship Carpathia receives a distress signal from the largest passenger liner ever built, the RMS Titanic, which is on its maiden voyage from Southampton, England to New York. Captain Arthur Rostron is awakened to an enormous maritime emergency with little information to guide his actions and answering the call for help. Is the dire threat to the unsinkable Titanic accurate? His ship is more than 4 hours away. Will Carpathia hold together if pushed to never-before-tested speeds? What if his ship also strikes an iceberg? How many of Titanic's 2,200 passengers will the Carpathia be able to accommodate? And with the freezing temperatures, will there be any survivors by the time the Carpathia arrives? Kate Connolly is excited to join her sister in America and proud to be traveling on the Grand Titanic, which was built in her Irish homeland. As a passenger in third-class accommodations, she is among the last to receive instructions and help after Titanic hits an iceberg. Among the chaos of abandoning ship, the chances of her securing a spot in a lifeboat appear grim. With the help of several men, also from Ireland, Kate finally reaches the upper decks and feels lucky to board Lifeboat 13, although no one knows if or when a rescue ship will come. She fears the icy water and wonders if they'll all freeze to death. After seeing their magnificent ship submerge into the abyss and hearing the cries of hundreds of fellow passengers drowning, it is almost too much to bear, and Kate fleetingly thinks succumbing to her ordeal is the easiest escape. So yeah, it sounds like this is going to be a book that's alternating between both the Carpathia and the Titanic, you guys, and I do love all things Titanic. Oh my god, my light is like just disappearing, you guys. Oh my freaking god. I have 3 more books to get here, you guys. Oh my god, let me hurry. The Foundling by Anne Leary. And I think, I look dead. I look dead, you guys. How terrible. This video is going to be a nightmare. Oh my god. Okay. It's 1927, and and 18-year-old Mary Ingle is hired to work as a secretary at a remote but scenic institution for mentally disabled women called the Nettleton State Village for feeble-minded women of childbearing age. She's immediately in awe of her employer, brilliant genteel Dr. Agnes Vogel. Dr. Vogel has been the only woman in her class in medical school. As a young psychiatrist, she was an outspoken crusader for women's suffrage. Now, at age 40, Dr. Vogel runs one of the largest and most self-sufficient public asylums for women in the country. Mary deeply admires how dedicated the doctor is to the poor and vulnerable women under her care. Soon after she's hired, Mary learns that a girl from her childhood orphanage is one of the inmates. Mary remembers Lillian as a beautiful, free spirit with a sometimes tempestuous side. Could she be mentally disabled? When Lillian begs Mary to help her escape, alleging the asylum is not what it seems, Mary is faced with a terrible choice. Should she trust her troubled friend with whom she shares a dark childhood secret? Mary's decision triggers a hair-raising sequence of events with life-altering consequences for all. That sounds great. Okay, I got 2 more to go here, guys. Oh, Lord, stick with me, lights. Stick with me. Games in a Ballroom by Gentry Flint. London, 1815. Olivia Wilde has resigned herself to never finding a love match. Her father has insisted she marry a man with a title, if only to increase his own standing and reputation in society. But the men her father deems acceptable are at best boring and uninspiring, and at worst are as brutish as her father and are only looking to increase their own diminishing coffers. With her future looking dismal, Olivia decides to enjoy the last few months of freedom with her childhood friends, including the handsome Emerson Latham. His devilish smile and flirtatious teasing stirs up feelings she knows she cannot entertain. Emerson is struggling to rise to his responsibilities after the death of his father, though he might still be learning what he needs to do at the head of his household. One thing he knows for sure is that he wants Olivia to be his wife. Having grown up as childhood friends with Olivia, Emerson long ago had fallen in love with her quick wit, beauty, and passionate heart. However, without a title, he will never be permitted to court Olivia openly, but he has a plan that may give him a chance to court her in secret. As the season kicks off, Emerson proposes a bit of fun with a playful game of tag. Olivia's friends are delighted by the idea, though Olivia is more wary. After all, the game must be played in secret, and they must be discreet when tagging each other at dinners and balls and the theater. As the romance builds between Olivia and Emerson, so does the risk of being discovered. Not only are their reputations at stake, so is their safety if they are caught by Olivia's father, who has an explosive and at times violent temper. That sounds like something, if you like a Bridgerton, it'd be for you. And the last book, you guys, stay with me, light. One more book, The Red Palace by June Her. Taking place in Korea in 1758, there are few options available to illegitimate daughters in the capital city, but through hard work and study, 18-year-old Hyun has earned a position as a palace nurse. All she wants is to keep her head down, do a good job, and perhaps finally win her estranged father's approval. But Hyun is suddenly thrust into the dark and dangerous world of court politics when someone murders 4 women in a single night, and the prime suspect is Hyun's closest friend and mentor. Determined to prove her beloved teacher's innocence, Hyun launches her own secret investigation. In her hunt for the truth, she encounters a young police inspector also searching for the killer. When evidence begins to point to the crown prince himself as the murderer, Hyun and this young police investigator must work together to search the darkest corners of the palace to uncover the deadly secrets behind the bloodshed. Oh, guys, that sounds good. Okay, yeah guys, that is it for these 20 recommendations for upcoming historical fiction and novels. I do apologize once again about the diminishing light here. I started this video, it was nice and bright out. I don't know what happened. So yeah, you guys, that's it for this video. In the comments below, are there any upcoming historical fiction books that I should be aware of that might be of interest to me? Just type down some suggestions and recommendations down in the comments below. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.